Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, we could really use your help. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, recently named the Too Opinionated podcast one of its top 100 podcasts. This is a monumental feat for this program. You know, we're a father and son team out of a small town in West Virginia, have been doing this for about 5 years. There's 15 million podcasts out there. About 40,000 of those get to the point that they're listed on IMDb. Out of those 40,000 out of the 15 million, we're ranked number 82. Something that we're just immensely proud of. We're so thankful for our listeners, our watchers, our fans. Thank you so, so much. If you would like to help us out, and we're asking for it, please. It's easy. It's really easy. It's free. If you go to IMDb, that's imdb.com, look up Too Opinionated Podcast, and just take a look at the page. That's all you have to do. I mean, you're welcome to look at the cast, look at the episodes so you can kind of see who's been on the program. Do whatever you want. But even just bringing up the page, imdb.com, Too Opinionated Podcast, bring up the page, look at it. That helps us so much. So please, if you can do anything, we would really appreciate that. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Love to have your subscription there. It's also free. And you can also check out our website, meistercon.com, where you'll find almost 700 episodes, audio and video, available on there. There's also a terrific blog from Brett, and it'll let you know anything that we have going on in studio, if we're covering a convention, if we're going on location, anything that we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so, so much. We appreciate you so much. I can't express enough how appreciative we are of all of you. We never expected to do as well as we have, and that's all because of you. Thank you so much. Enjoy that interview. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got singer-songwriter Juliet Hawkins with me. So welcome, Juliet. I was so excited to have you on the program. We were supposed to do this yesterday, and the internet was not cooperating. It went down like literally minutes before we were supposed to talk.
Crazy. It was the first time I was ever really truly prepared for probably anything in my life. And I was sitting here.
That tracks.
Yeah, totally. It is at 2:22 Pacific Coast time. My music video comes out. So today it's kind of cool because we get to celebrate like an hour before instead of a day before.
It's my mother's birthday today. And she went ahead and just accepted you releasing that today as part of her birthday celebration. She always complains because, you know, all the kids and the grandkids call her up wanting to know if she saw her shadow or not. And that just aggravates her to death. So. No, that's great, and we got to talk about the new music. But before we do that, you know, tell me a little bit about what got you started in music. Why'd you want to go into singing? We were talking offline. Not an easy profession to get into.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of sucked at everything else. My grades were bad. I wasn't a great student. I found music was, and being an artist, I guess is probably one of the only jobs where being unstable and broke is like kind of acceptable. But I just, music was always kind of my outlet to heal. And really like the only thing that I held on to so tightly through a lot of my darkest times. And so it really, it kind of chose me more than I chose it, but it just made sense to keep going with it. And so I'm still doing music, and always trying to get back to why I did it to start with, and make sure that that's at the forefront. That am I enjoying myself? Am I putting out a message that matters? You know.
Did you have you written most of your life, or did that come at certain point?
I actually was into a lot of poetry as a kid. it was more like, I guess, songwriting, like melody and poetry sort of merged somewhere in my mid 20s. I found that writing music was it's like sort of a therapeutic tool for me to process things. And um, so I've always been interested in writing, but it was more so in poetry up until my
Yeah.
20s.
Yeah, and that makes sense. They're songwriting and poetry very similar.
Totally.
And if you could write poetry, you can probably write music and vice versa. You know, not necessarily, but probably you could probably do that. So that doesn't surprise me that you were into poetry kind of early. When did you start picking up instruments?
I was like, I guess 5 or 6 when my parents put me in piano lessons, and I was in there for almost 10 years. And really, like, I'm grateful for it now because I guess music, being able to read music, I guess is cool. It's not necessary to be a musician, but I think that it's a helpful skill for, like, me to have some sense of theory that really stuck in there. But I quit after almost 10 years, and I found my mom's guitar in the attic, and it had two little strings on. It was a Yamaha from when she was in college, and I totally fell in love with the way that it felt. I got it strung at Gloucester Music back in Massachusetts, where I grew up, and um, just started teaching myself. My uncle showed me some finger picking styles, and I pretty much from then on was self-taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was
Do you play by ear?
I do, yeah. I can sit down and like look up chords and be like, oh, that's a C chord. And so like again, I've taught a lot of myself, like taught myself a lot of what I'm playing. But with piano, especially now, I'm not so much sitting down to read music. I'm like using the piano to help me compose a song or
Well,
help
I was
me.
going to ask you if it helped with that because yeah, the piano that seems like if you're a songwriter, you either got to know piano or guitar. I think
Yeah,
just to help with that, just with the actual writing.
yeah. It's definitely a fundamental, and really been nice to have to come back to it, to hate it for so long and be like, I'm never going back to lessons and find a guitar and be like, I'm a guitar player, and then be like, all right, like to have appreciation for it now, it's at 33 is cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. My mother I was telling you about, and my stepson both play by ear, and I've always been impressed by that. You know, especially like with my stepson, you could play something and he can turn around and play it on any instrument, whether or not he has played that instrument before or not. But if you give him half an hour, he can play the song. It always kind of amazes me, and he's learned to read music over time. But initially, it was all by ear, so you don't necessarily have to know music, but definitely helpful, especially if somebody's handing you music that you're not listening to.
Yeah, to be able to get a sense of where it sits in your range, or transposing stuff like that. I think I think that stuff's important too. I don't necessarily think you can teach soul. I think lessons are important, but I've known a lot of people that are have all their chops as far as like mechanics, but something that you feel inside. That's why I'm like, reading music is cool, but I'm never going to be like, you have to be able to read music if you want to be a musician, because it's really, I think, about what you feel.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it comes through with your music. So we've been listening to your music all week because it's it's oh, you've got a lovely voice. It's amazing, but it's the style of music that fits really well with what we listen to anyway. You
Oh,
know,
cool.
like it would not surprise us if one of your songs popped up on a channel that we listen to. It's really good, and you can tell like it's soulful. It's got emotion in it. It's got it'll get you moving a little bit, which is saying something because I don't dance, but it had me swaying around a little bit, so that's pretty good.
All we need is a little sway. Thank you.
I always call it the middle school sway. That's the only one I do. I can step side to side. That was it. But hey, it had me doing
Hey,
it.
all I can ask. That's more than I can ask for, honestly. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we love my father's men. That one is the video's coming out today, but that song is pretty great. What's the song about? What inspired you to write that?
To be honest, the song was written like day two, about 5 a.m. the week of recording, day 2 in the studio.
Oh,
And
really? That's
mm,
early.
yeah, I know. It was like between probably 4:30 and 5. And I have these like kind of sort of manic episodes, I guess, without cringing, that help me write my music. But I have to be careful of the downfall. Do you know what I'm, you
I
know,
do. Yeah.
there's like a level of awareness I have to that where like I know because I'm not sleeping very much and it happens every time I'm in a focused like creative portal. So I just accept that the next week might be a little rough and that I'm going to need to figure out my work schedule and my sleep schedule. But when you dial in, like there's like kind of a, I don't know, it's a weird thing that happens. Everyone's like always like, how do you write a song? And I'm like, I'm not one of those people that will sit down and be like, I'm going to write a song right now. I have to be a little bit like either sad, um, a little bit like frenzied, so that happens.
I actually relate to that because I'm similar in that whatever I'm working on, it takes me a little while to kind of to get into it. Like I might have a few stop and starts where I can't really just get focused and get in. But then once I'm focused and really locked in, I can put out a ton of work, but you can get a little bit too involved in
Uh,
that. And then you have to have recovery time.
yeah,
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 I get that. Yeah,
hmm
that doesn't surprise me, especially with someone that's very artistic. I think the highs and lows kind of come along with that a lot of times.
totally. And so, like that being said, it was not like that abnormal that I would be up around 4 or 5, especially when like those 3 days in that studio were really intense. It was I've always wanted to record a live album, so this is like kind of this was a big dream of mine, and it was
Yeah.
coming to fruition. I had an all-star team. A Toys Brown is my co-producer. Bob Tucker's my engineer. He won a Grammy for The
Yeah,
Temptations. He was
that's a good group.
great and like OG guys and incredible session musicians. One guy was problematic and he reminded me of my dad, to be honest, but it really had nothing to do with my dad. It's really My Father's Men is a tribute to, the founding fathers of this country, and the
Yeah.
problematic people in the industry tend to be older white men. And like, I realize who I'm talking to. This is no
Yeah,
disrespect.
but we know, and we've all been dealing with it now for the last several years. I mean, shame on us that it took this long to try to straighten it out.
Yeah. But it's
But
not you. You
it
know what I'm talking about, right? It's kind of like the industry itself is like it's a sexist place. It's a like the American music industry is a pretty like it's shady.
well, it's very similar to acting. Just the entertainment industry in general is very discriminatory,
Yeah.
especially towards women. Although the last few years have been a little bit encouraging, we've seen some signs that maybe stuff's starting to turn a little bit. But does it need to take so long? Just do it.
I know it's weird. And then it becomes this like weird balance of like um I don't know. Like I just want everyone to treat each other with respect, but it's like this industry has been problematically ran by a certain group of people, and I like so that was sort of a poetic way to tribute it to those people, my father's men. But it is the kind of this guy in particular was just like that. He was super posturing. This guitar here is George Benson's guitar player's friends, and like all this bragging of not reading a room. And I'm like, man, you know what I've like how hard I've worked to pay for this, for these hours that you're eating up by telling me how I should. I'm like, I'm renting this space from you, and you're bragging about a $10,000 guitar. Know your crowd,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
yeah, yeah. If you're going to do that, then you better give extra time so you've got time for your spiel. You shouldn't be using time that somebody's paying for.
No. I was like, no, what if we tried this chord? I was like, really? So like that was sort of what was brewing. And I was like, man, I'm sick of this shit. Like he's not a producer. He doesn't even have the right to be in here. I'm just renting the space from him. Why is it okay? Why is no one speaking up? Because I'm a chick. If I speak up, am I a bitch then? Do you know what I mean? It's like
I do. Yeah.
this whole thing, whereas guys in the industry it just is what it is. But I do believe that we're bringing more and more consciousness to it. The more that people and it doesn't mean shaming men. There's plenty of good, I love men. There's plenty of great men in my life that I respect. It just means being more aware, giving other people a chance, being more aware of the what's the narrative here? That like men can just get better like wine, and women have this little window to do this like tits out and suck it in and don't age and I'm, you know what I mean? It's just like not, so
I
I
mean,
don't
we
know.
just want a level playing field. That's
Yeah,
really all you're asking for.
yes, totally.
You
Totally.
know, that doesn't seem like too. It's that, and I'm the first to admit I have completely changed my thinking on this stuff because I grew up in it like we all did, didn't think anything about it, and
Mm.
then when I got married and I started watching my wife, who's had a very successful career, kind of bang into that glass ceiling that is real. It's there, you know, and I
Totally.
just watched the nonsense she goes through on a daily basis that I never had to go through that stuff. Never had to deal with that. And she's always dealing with it. And it's probably um, made it a much longer, harder journey than it should have been. If she'd just been a guy, she'd have probably been promoted much quicker than what her talent deserves. I just it doesn't make any sense to me. But I definitely, even though I don't know the feeling directly, I have definitely indirectly experienced it because it's there. And I think that's those type of stories, especially on the men part, we have to do better bringing that stuff out into the open when we see it. You know, because of course, we see it. We just tend to ignore it.
And my guys, the guys that were witnessing the whole thing go down, there was kind of a little bit like, you know what I mean? Because nobody wants to like cause any
Yeah,
problem,
you don't want to be the bad guy.
especially on the West Coast. Do you know how easy it is to offend someone out here? You look at someone a wrong way and you've offended someone. I'm from the Northeast where it's like when you bust someone's chops, it means you like them. So
Yeah,
it's like I had to learn, like especially spending 3 years in Tennessee, how to soften my edge a little, how to like, you know, I'm definitely, I'm a feminist, but I also am just like you're saying, looking for the same kind of shot, the same kind of respect. Because when he's sitting there, like telling me to like change this a little and do this, it brought up all these feelings of how many times that's happened to me and how many times does that not happen to a male musician, a male artist. If
well,
he's
it's the
if
respect level. You know,
Yeah.
he might have been like, well, that guy doesn't need my help. He's got it. So why do you need his help?
It's like, come here, honey. Like, and it's like, no, dude, that's not what I'm here for. And I think that, but that's been part of what was so like powerful about all of that,
Yeah.
is that if that guy didn't exist, if that experience hadn't happened, that song would have never been written. If
Yeah.
like that was such a crucial, powerful, like,
Did
um,
you send him some flowers or something to thank him?
right? I know I show up with a bottle of wine. I'm like, look, I was going to take you to dinner first, but uh, no, I still have respect for him because A, we got great recordings, some of the best microphones I've ever used in my
Very
life.
good.
And again, like with all of that, like irritation or chaos that comes with being an artist, being a woman, being a human, that's where the content comes from too.
Yeah.
Like I can't ever be too happy because then I won't write any music.
Yeah, it dries up.
Right.
When you wake up and you're sad, are you like, yes, now I can write?
Yeah, a little bit. No, I definitely try and stay level, but I always joke that like I never want to be, I think that's what happens to a lot of artists is like they get big, they get successful, they get money, they get comfortable, and then where is the tension and the angst to write about?
Yeah, and it shows up in their music.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell it when somebody's coasting a little bit.
Mhm. I know you're like, you got some good mood stabilizers, you got some really good health insurance. No,
Sorry about your career, but at least you're level.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, so okay, so the video comes out today. Did did you do the video yourself, or did you bring somebody in to kind of choreograph that?
Mitch Parks is my director of the video, and we wrote the storyline together when we sat down. And initially, it was going to be another song, Magic and the Tragic. And I had all these cool ideas of this feather because I had this strange trip once where I
We
saw this.
like that song too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It was going to be that. And it like, I had this cool idea of tributing to an ex girlfriend who passed away from from a drug addiction and this feather image, and I was like, what's the message I want to lead with? Recovered or empowered?
Yeah.
Um, that was that was Mitch's point actually. It's like, and I was like, empowered. I don't, it's great to get through tough times, man. But we've all been through them. And what are you doing with it now? You know what I mean? It's
Well,
like,
that's right. At some point, you got to move forward.
totally. And it's like to be able to, I never want to shame it because there could be someone that's struggling that's like, well, if she can get there and she was doing the same shit as I am right now, is she like I can still do it. So, but I still need to move. I want to keep maturing, I guess, as an artist and writer and be continuing to put out a positive message. So we agreed to do My Father's Men, and we kind of I definitely he really led with that French noir vibe that we wanted.
Yeah.
Did you yeah, you got to see it,
Oh
obviously.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's great. It's really well done. That's why I was asking, because it's obviously somebody working on it knew what they were doing.
Great. And he was really very patient, and I had big ideas like um and he's really also a Pisces, but somehow much more grounded in like making things happen, and just a really beautiful, really great eye. And it was my friend Sasha did lighting. She brought the two guys that played My Father's Men. My friend Sebastian from Thunder Studios came and assisted. So it was the keyboard, the guy playing the keys was actually A Toys Brown, who co-produced the album and played
I
keys on
love
that.
that.
Um, so yeah, it was just a really beautiful, a beautiful like kind of. We were trying to make it this elaborate story of like the artist breaking and being like, "Fuck you," like I'm out, I'm like, and then like finding the love and the joy for music again on just the corner of the street. You know what I mean? But I guess that was kind of the message. And it's hard when you're working on a budget and you only have 4 minutes and 57 seconds or whatever to tell the whole story. But Mitch did a really great job.
Was that your first video?
That's actually my third music video.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I thought you'd done a couple of them. So yeah, I wanted to give you. There was a couple of songs we really liked. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. Let's see, "Country Girl,"
Yeah.
"Let You Leave," um, "My Favorite Sin."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those we really like those.
Country Girl and My Favorite Sin were on an EP with Magic and the Tragic and Unchained Melody.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did a cover of the Righteous
Oh, I
Brothers.
need to go find that one. I probably love that.
Yeah, my
You've
last EP.
got the right voice for that song.
Thanks. That's such a good song.
Yeah, that's a great song. Yeah.
But yeah, that's where Country Girl and My Favorite Sinner is kind of where that like that country, that Nashville like Southern vibe sort of started. The dust started absorbing into my style because I
Yeah.
was always oh, I'm R&B, and then like all of a sudden it started sounding country.
I like that we're getting to the point, kind of musically, that an artist doesn't have to be tied to one genre. You can really move around, especially with country, pop, soul, blues. All those, you can kind of play with that, and you see that a lot more than what you did even 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think so too. I think since it's all kind of based in blues, right? Like it's like there's that and I'm like it's weird with singer songwriter. I have some strange like trigger with that because I'm like it sounds sad. Singer songwriter sounds like you're gonna get depressed and you're gonna hear a girl like in a dress being like clowns never laugh before. You know what I mean? It's like so I try and be like no, I'm a writer who sings, which is so stupid ego shit. But it's like to
No,
be
but I
able to
get that. Whatever tricks you have to do for yourself, I'm all for that. If it works, do it.
oh, I know I mean, though, it's kind of, I've seen a lot more artists fuse like vintage sounds with like new age, and like it's almost like there's a like funk techno thing
Yeah.
happening. Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. I think it allows artists to kind of stretch a little bit, but just as a fan, it's just neat seeing someone that you like try something different.
totally.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So when does the live album come out?
So it comes out the 16th, so 2 weeks from today.
That's coming fast.
No, it's crazy. I can't even believe it was that I felt like I was just posting the campaign. used GoFundMe to
Oh
help.
yeah, that's smart.
But it was, yeah, it flew. Like it's kind of crazy when you put your mind to something, what happens, but it's like, it's exciting. I can't believe it's actually finally coming out.
When you go fund something like that, does it, not that you wouldn't be anyway, but does it put extra pressure on you to make sure that you're using the money well? Like you wouldn't want to do a GoFundMe and then put out a crap album.
So true. Yeah. I mean, honestly, what was more hard is was try because my initial goal was 30K.
Yeah.
I like 3,200.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, 30,000's nothing.
I know that's what I okay, thank you.
It's
It's
nothing.
people to understand that's not a lot like for a really good what it costs, what people just don't understand because they're not doing it themselves or they don't realize that like each individual little strand of sound you hear in that song is a person that you have to pay.
That's right.
And then you factor in how many runs, just because it's a 4 minute song, it could take it a full day just to get those 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then
And that's
after
just one song.
right. And then after the fact, there's post production, and then there's mixing, and then there's mastering, and then like so it's kind of it was crazy to me. Like I did like I danced at a strip club. I never thought I'd do that. But I had to pay for the mixing and mastering, my friend. What else did you think I was going to do? Like truly, I was trying to work any job and every job.
See, that right there tells me how passionate you are about your music. Because that's probably, there's probably not a ton of stuff that you'd be like, okay, that's the option. Let's do that. But if it helps you fund your album, maybe that's okay.
Yeah, it was definitely the hardest job I've ever done in my life. I have so much more respect for
I mean, do you dance? Are you a dancer?
I grew up doing ballet and modern, and I love hip hop, and like I'll dance like by myself when I'm on the beach or out at a party. You know what I mean? Like whatever, like, but not a. Am I an exotic dancer? No, but am I willing to do whatever it takes to make a record? To an extent, not everything
Well,
is.
yeah, of course. Well, so how did it go? Because I'd be a nervous wreck if I'd never done that. Did it go okay?
Yeah. I mean, I lasted about a month, but I made the money I needed to make, and then I got the fuck out of there. And I became friends with the DJ, and he played some of my music when I danced, which was a little bit like, uh-oh, I hope I don't see anyone I know, but also thanks for the streams.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, that's
And when, at a certain point, like it doesn't really none of that shit matters, if you're whatever you want to do in life, you have to, if you know your heart, you're not hurting anybody, you're not hurting yourself. Um i i don't have a i don't hold a lot of shame for that. I there were times when it was fun. There was definitely times where I was like, I have a lot more respect for these women than I ever could have
that's
imagined.
hard work.
Hardest job, and you're not making an hourly. There's no lunch break. The boss, that lady looked at me like, who is this chick? Because I was like, do we not get a staff meal?
They don't let you eat.
Taco Tuesday here, and I know Miguel can toss us a couple tacos. But yeah, it was I've never like worked harder for an album. So I think that that's where the not the pressure, but like because whether people like it or not, I have to remember to like loosely quote Rick Rubin. It doesn't you can't make art for other people.
That's right. You have to
And
be true to yourself.
yeah, for sure. So it was, I had a goal in mind and I wanted to make it happen. And it's an expensive place to live. And in Nashville, I had this great guy who I used actually for mastering. His name's Pete Eddins, incredible, incredible musician and engineer. And um, he had a whole setup in his house, in his attic. It was like, and he would mix, master, play, help me submit for like nothing, for change. And he was my homie. And so when I moved to LA, you're nobody's homie.
Yeah.
It's like, who do you know? Or you're paying for it.
Well, it's because everybody there is trying to make it too.
And it was like, I have a little bit, even though I was willing to go to a club and dance for a couple months, I'm not as willing to mingle as I might have been 10 years ago. Like there's a lot of this like in LA, like, oh, I'm the producer. I'm like, me too. Where's your keyboard? Where's your computer? Your studio in your bedroom? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I knew it was going to cost a lot because I wasn't willing to do just anything.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what I get at in a circuitous way.
Yeah. Well, it's like 30,000. I get it. That does sound like a decent sum of money, but it's not for
Yeah.
what, we've done some production on some audio dramas and stuff, and 30,000 barely got us started.
It was crazy. I ended up being able to make the record for about five.
That's that's impressive, actually.
Tell me about it. And I got really, again, I got super blessed. I feel like my grandmother is my guardian angel, and I feel like she set things up for me because A Toys Brown and Bob Tucker are like kind of big shit to me.
Yeah.
They've worked with like some of my like idols or some of my like musical inspirations, India Arie, Tupac. Like these are people that I really looked up to, and so for these guys to not just see a price tag, but be like, I'll cut you a deal. We'll make it and we'll make it work. We'll do it. We'll get it done. Like I had an all-star team around me and I felt really, really fortunate.
Well, it also means they believe in the music. Yeah, which is that's pretty encouraging. If you were like, if they were like, yeah, we could do it, but it's going to cost you this much, well, then you're probably like, well, is it even any good? I mean, they were invested. They were like, yeah, let's do it.
And I knew too, like I was like looking at the clock. I knew what each hour cost at that guy's studio because I wanted us to be live. So I needed everyone in separate rooms. And so like isolation booth studios are expensive. This was this guy's private house and he had like isolated rooms with mics. So it was really, it was cool. And I'm grateful it happened because there were times where I was like, okay, I got to cut the campaign off at some point and I've only made this much money. And I'm like, well, it's going to get made. Maybe I don't press records yet, but at least I cut it. Maybe I had to cut it from 11 songs down to 9. I had to do away with a vinyl press for now because I was like, I want gold records and I wanted like my,
Well, you got to do a vinyl at some point.
definitely, but I wanted to do it right with
What do you do with the other 2 songs? You just save those for another album, or do you release them at some point? Or
I don't know. I guess, what my hope is that maybe a new EP, maybe a fresh EP for the fall, or somebody picks up wind of the record and then wants to produce the album over again, and then I can put all those songs that I've been that I cut, putting the vibes out.
I think it's in the realm of possibilities because you've got the hardest part, and that's the voice. You've got that. So now it's just a matter of getting the eyes.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thanks for putting the vibes out. I really appreciate you and your
Yeah,
wife.
yeah. Yeah, we're gonna put some positive energy out there. So the album comes out on the 16th. Are you planning to do any live shows or to tour at all?
Actually, the night of the 16th, I have an album release party at a Secret Island bar below Shannon's on Pine Avenue in Long Beach. I got the chick playing sax in the music video is actually opening with her original music.
Oh, it's exciting.
So it's kind of cool. And
She's a talented sax player too.
and it was actually somebody else that played the sax for the actual song. But she was a friend of a friend, and I was like, it would be cool to have her play the part.
Yeah.
Then I checked out her stuff. And
okay. Yeah. So she's not playing it, but she's playing it.
So yeah,
it'll be look good playing
it. That's the 16th, and then I think it's either 310 or 311. I'm playing with Gold Shimmer at Harvell's. Burlesque in Long Beach.
So yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, you got to keep me posted when you're playing live around, your area, because if I'm in town, we'll try to come out and see you.
Love that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty great. There's something about live music, which I'm sure is part of the reason you want to do a live album. It hits different.
Yes, it does. It's really special. There's some that is like I think what probably sets not a lot of people are doing live albums anymore. But there's something so raw and honest, and you can hear the imperfections. That I want that in there. It's what gives it its thumbprint.
It does, and I mean we call them imperfections, but it's really just part of the music.
Totally. Yeah. It's neat. It's almost like when an actor makes eye contact with the camera
Yeah.
and get that little brief human moment. Like there's parts on the album where you're gonna hear like Michael Edwards talking. He's like, "Now play that one back again," and I was like, "Keep
Like
that,"
that.
because I wanted to have as much life bedazzling it as possible. So
Oh, I love that. You know, I bought my wife a bedazzler. They
good man.
we went. I was telling you, we went to Austin City Limits, and all the girls there were using them, which I thought was hilarious because I'm like, where are you even finding those? But I found one. I went on, Amazon, and there they were. So yeah, so I got her so she could do, for festivals and stuff. She could do her. Yeah,
That's
that's what
the jacket. I bedazzled the jacket in the music video. That was just a black trench coat, and I painted the
I like
back.
that.
So I'm a big fan of bedazzling everything and
Yeah,
everyone.
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, you can go crazy though. For Got to be careful. All of a sudden, your shower curtains bedazzled. If you're not.
Yeah, yeah. My granddaughter's big into that. So, and she's only 4, so you can imagine it's a little over the top. So you got to watch her. You can't let her loose around anything that you don't want bedazzled.
Right. What's her name?
Her name is Charlie, Charlotte, but we call her Charlie.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. It's pretty good. She just started dance, and we had to put her in dance because she never stops dancing. I'm like, she loves it, just moving around. Normally, I would play your music for her, but she didn't come over. No, I normally have her on Fridays with the rest of the grandkids, but they didn't come today, and I didn't get to play the music for them because that's usually my test.
Mhm.
If they're young, they're all between 0 and 4. But if they start moving around a little bit, you got something. If they just wander off and get bored, okay, maybe it's not the best. But they'd have liked it. She'd have
Put
been
on,
into it.
put on Lead with Love.
Yeah.
It's really happy. It's very kid friendly. I have nephews and I'm obsessed with them. Artie and George. Actually, one of my first EPs was I wrote a song about my first nephew, George, and
Awesome.
yeah, I love kids. I'm a big fan. I've actually been teaching music and have seen such a difference in in like my intention around music
Yeah.
because kids are so powerful and like they're kind of responsible for like
Well, you
say,
just get honest reactions from kids.
yeah.
They if they really love it, you're going to know it. If they really don't like it, you're going to know that too.
I know, brutal.
I try to get them every Friday. I've got 5, and just because I want them to be close, I want them to be close with their cousins, and it's exhausting, but it's the best. It's the best. But I had my one of my grandsons was over the other day, and I had told him no about something, and I didn't think anything of it. Went off and did some other stuff. I came back, and he was sitting there and pouting, and he said, "Papa," said, "I don't love you anymore." And I said, "Well, that's okay." I said, "Papa still loves you." And he said, "I know, Papa, but I don't love you anymore." I was like, "Well, thanks for letting me know." And so I just went and sat down. And a couple minutes later, he comes out of the kitchen eating a protein bar and climbed up into my lap. And he says, "Papa, I think I was just hungry."
Sounds like
I was like, "Hey, I'm not mad." I was like, "Cause I get grumpy when I'm hungry."
I can identify with that.
Oh shoot! Well, Juliet, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time with us today. You have to come back when you get the next one out. You got to come back and talk about it too. I think you're just scratching the surface. Hopefully the struggles will get a little easier, although maybe not too easy because I know that helps you with the songwriting.
Yeah, things have definitely leveled out. It feels like this is like one of the biggest births I've like prepared for. Um, Truly, like I'm excited for it, and there's a sense of relief.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm like done or anything, but like
How long after you release something does it take you to be ready to work on the next thing?
I mean, I've stayed writing. I have a couple songs that are I want to have in the barrel in the shotgun. I guess what is
Yeah.
it? Lined up and ready to go for whatever's coming. I want to have some material ready to like, um, so that if someone's like, "Hey, I like your stuff. What do you got next?" That I can be like, "Here you go." Um, but I also am trying to find that balance of not succumbing to that like it's never enough. Like to be able to be like, I'm taking some time to just be present with it, let the writing come as it moves me. So
Well,
if
you
it,
should take some time to kind of celebrate it before you
yeah,
move on.
because everyone's like, "Oh, what exciting thing are you working on now?" I'm like, myself.
Yeah. Well, you deserve it. You created something. Now's the time.
Yeah. So I am excited to for whatever's coming next, but I'm grateful for as far as I've come for this and to see what happens.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I'm excited for you. Before I let you go, though, run through your social media.
Cool. Yeah. Juliet Hawkins official, Juliet, Juliet like the tragedy, Hawkins like Taylor, official, and juliethawkins.com. There's always new stuff on there.
Yeah, you've
Facebook.
got a good website.
Thanks.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I know with the website, it's not the creating, it's the maintaining that's the hard part.
Totally. I just took the word shagging out of my bio because I was like, if I'm trying to grow up, I need to not be talking about add it to your shagging playlist. I read that and I was like, ah, quick. You know what I
Well,
mean?
we
Like,
change as we get older.
I do. I'm like, now I'm just like, listen or get out.
I don't have time for you. You either like it or you don't.
Coming into this like great the 30s where you're like, if you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find peace and do what makes me happy.
Yeah, like we all are. I think that's terrific, and you're so talented. I know we're going to see a ton more from you, but definitely let's do this again at some point.
I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me and checking out my stuff, and I appreciate your wife checking it out too.
Yeah, of course. Okay, hold on one second. The talented Juliet Hawkins. I hope you enjoyed that. Do yourself a favor, check out her music. I think her voice is just amazing. The video out today is My Father's Men. Really good, really good song. So definitely check her out and give her your support. I loved how honest she was, and I think she gave a really good glimpse of just how difficult it is to make it, especially if you're in one of the coastal cities, New York, LA. So expensive to live there. Everybody's having to have side hustles just to survive while they're chasing their passion. Good for her for being honest about it and for um, being focused enough to get through it and get the album made. I'm very impressed with that. I know you'll love the music, so definitely check her out, Juliet Hawkins. I know when we're out in LA or Long Beach, we'll definitely be looking to go see her. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us again this week. We definitely don't take you for granted. You know, I'm so proud of the musical acts that we have on the show. I think we have had some of the most talented and up and coming artists of any show that's out there. I'm really proud of it. If you're a music lover like I am, you can go to our YouTube channel, MeisterCon Pod, and we've got a music playlist that's got every interview that we have done with a musician, and there's some great ones on there. We've got David Sancious who plays with Bruce Springsteen, and then just a ton of people that you're either going to recognize because the music is really strong, or you're going to discover them before everybody else finds out just how talented they are. I really think that would be a great playlist for you to check out if you like that sort of thing. So check it out, our music playlist on MeisterCon Pod on YouTube. If you're finding us for the first time, please subscribe while you're there. And you can find, we're closing in on 750 episodes now. You can find all of those audio and video on our website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm once again here to ask for your support. It's been a big year for the Too Opinionated podcast. Back in February, we got to live out a dream, moderate for William Shatner here in our hometown. In May, we passed 100,000 downloads on our YouTube channel, and we followed that up in June with 50,000 downloads on the audio side. We recently posted our 600th episode, which is pretty good volume for just a father and son operation. You know, not too many podcasts can keep that volume up. We've been doing this now for 4.5 years, 600 plus episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is a really big deal for us because we've always gotten the views, but have struggled to get people to subscribe. So that 1,000 was a big deal for us. And best of all, we were recently named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, which is the entertainment database. You know, those that are ahead of us, we came in at number 82. Those that are ahead of us are bigger companies like Disney, mostly Marvel, and Joe Rogan, that type of podcast. So for us, being just a small West Virginia father and son podcast, to be in the top 100 out of 15 million, it's a pretty big deal for us. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far. Got a couple little ways, though, that you can help us, and they're free, and they're really easy. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please go to YouTube. It's under MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Really helps us a ton. And maybe even more important, if you could go to IMDb, imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and just look around the page. Just having that traffic on the page really helps us out. So that's a couple easy ways that you can support us, even if you're not listening or watching all of the time. And we want you to listen and watch, because I think that our guest list, I would put up against anybody, any other show, podcast, anybody out there. I think our guest list holds up. So please check us out. You probably will find somebody that you like, or maybe somebody that you didn't know you liked, but kind of discovered them on there. There's tons of that. If you're into music, we have that too. If you like books, we've got authors on there. If you're more into what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, you know, we've got producers, directors, video artists, anything you can think of that happens behind the scenes, we've had them on the show. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.